Drivers cautioned ahead of Xmas. Also be alert. Meningitis, don't self-medicate. The Ghana Health Service is warning. And stand still. Xmas shopping creates gridlock. As always, what's on the back page? Back page tells us about local government ministry presented some motorbikes, some MMDAs, and Cosmos Energy supported vulnerable groups with some $50,000. The B&FT says IES urges ECG to fix challenges faced by prepaid customers with urgency. What's the problem? Some say they go to refill their credit and they are told that they owe money. How do you owe money on a prepaid meter that you've been buying credit on for usage? Well, so IES says fix it, ECG. The feature is also the tech predictions for 2021, and CD remains stable and political impasse Christmas season. Amid political impasse at Christmas season, analyst says outlook still positive, and food prices shake off post-election tension. Well, of course, survival is key. The final newspaper, NPP accuses NDC of inciting supporters to set markets ablaze. How did the NPP come by this special information? Well, maybe the police should be asking more questions. Drought, foreign traders could cause maize shortage, according to a report, and go to court, stop the violence. National Peace Council charges the NDC. I'm sure you know by now that former President Mahama has also responded. And China's Chery Automobile introduces SUVs pickups into the Ghanaian market. Treasury bill also sailed significantly undersubscribed. The Daily Guide. Chief 70 dies during sex. You know, the famous Eastern regional thing where the man was caught with a bag full of medications, including enhancement drugs. Rioting NDC supporters stone police, officers injured, cars damaged. An AG Powers case adjourned indefinitely. Also, government orders 6 million COVID-19 vaccines. In the meantime, somebody says we have not been told what our COVID-19 fund has been used for. My guest this morning is Adib Sani. He is a security analyst with Jatike. Also joining us via Zoom is Dr. Kweku Mensah Maoto. He is the Dean of the Graduate School of the University of Professional Studies. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much. Let me begin with Doc. Doc, Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, and same to you as well.
Great. Good to have you. And how's the season panning out for you?
We are coping by God's grace. But first of all, I'd like to greet your viewers and also to share that we're just hoping that this election will be over to have a very enjoyable festive season. I mean, we just pray that things will be normalized for us to share some good time with our families. Yeah.
I see. Great. Adib, let me also come to you. Shall I say Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas, Johnny. I actually miscalculated my dates. Yesterday I was interacting with a colleague who said, the Christmas is this week. And I was like, really? I thought it's supposed to be next week because we are all in the heat of the movement. Right. I mean, with respect to the politics. When the whole election thing started, I was like, oh God, let it be one round because we can't afford to go for a rerun. Yeah. But I mean, here we are, and I'm hoping, like Doc said, things will be normalized pretty shortly.
Absolutely. Let me say a happy birthday, a special one to Senior Lady Deacon, Mrs. Nanama Dankwa Smith of the Judicial Service Law Court Complex. She's the acting administrator of the Commercial Court. One more time, Mrs. Nanama Dankwa Smith. She is with the Judicial Service Law Court Complex, the acting administrator general, administrator of the Commercial Court. I beg your pardon. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday, sweet cousin, and live long and stay strong. Adib, let me begin the security conversation with you because post-elections we've seen some bit of demonstrations going on. The NDC insists it is one of their democratic rights to be able to vent their frustration out there and to press their messages home. Today, the minority caucus in Parliament are walking to the Electoral Commission's office, we're told. But we have seen the burning of ties, pelting of stones and other stuff that are going on. The markets are burning. Some are connecting it to political color of a sword. What do you see?
Johnny, when all these protests started, I did my own research about, the psychology of protest. And I'm pretty sure your viewers might be interested in a document published by the Center for Strategic and International Affairs on protests all over the world. And according to them, 2020 recorded protests in over 37 countries. And there's been an increase of about 186% in protests in the US alone. And we've seen a spike in Europe and, of course, in North America. And, of course, Africa is no different. And it describes this period as an era of protests. So I am particularly not surprised about what is going on. I mean, my years of research and study into elections, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, and also as a member of the African Union Mediators Rule, tells me that the crux of the security challenges in every democratic dispensation is after the election.
Right.
But when you take a closer look at the security arrangements, the mechanisms that were deployed, especially by the National Election Security Task Force chaired by the IGP, and the news conference he held on the 4th of November points to one thing, that the preparation was before and for the election, but we didn't have a strategy for post-election. And I'm not particularly surprised about what is happening. And Johnny,
why are you not surprised? We've been doing this since 1992.
Exactly.
So
when you even, I feel like a prophet, because before the results were announced, I said it on my Facebook page.
Right, I saw that write-up.
Exactly. And I received a barrage of criticisms, in my inbox and even in the comment section, with people saying I'm a doom-monger and a naysayer. But of course, it's something that was quite clear for all to see. So I don't know why the security services didn't, see that coming. But here we are. What do we do? What is the way forward? In as much as it's within everybody's democratic right to demonstrate, like we always see, it has to be done within the ambits of the law. We have a Public Order Act 491 that is quite categorical about informing the police, not seeking permission, Johnny. And you know why that is so?
No.
Not the pleasure of the police, but to ensure security for the protesters, okay? But it's something that we're not really seeing. And just last
but then there have been also arguments that, look, you go and ask for the 5 days, the police tells you, well, it can happen, and then 2 days to the time, or maybe a day before the time, they tell you, don't do it again, and they ascribe security reasons to it. Some say sometimes it's an order from above that tells them, don't allow them to do it.
Good. So it also boils down to confidence. Okay, because if you have a police service the people don't trust, the people feel is politically manipulated, you are bound to experience some of these things. So I think on the other side, the police service has a lot of confidence building to do. Last week I was at the EC headquarters when the whole protest started, and I personally saw people throwing stones. I mean, throwing stones is not peaceful.
It's not peaceful. Burning ties is not peaceful.
Burning ties. And Johnny, I don't hesitate in descending on the police. In fact, I love descending on the police when I see certain inefficiencies. But on this occasion, let us give Caesar what is due him. I think the police, by and large, have acted professionally. Especially with what I saw last week. Stones can kill, right?
They can.
So they had every justification to use lethal force.
Right.
Yet they were restrained and they used minimal force, which I must say is quite encouraging. As much as the security services can, they should restrain themselves and in some situations try to de-escalate, unless when they are left with no options, then they'll be forced to use the categories of force they've been ascribed. Because I would wish to see less and less people getting hurt.
Right.
Because the more people getting hurt, the more we're likely to get people incentivized into going out to demonstrate. As a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen who died recently in hospital, who was shot in the tummy at
Ablekwa Central.
I know him. I know him so well. I had my outdooring in February, and he attended.
He attended.
So I called his colleagues. I mean, actually 2 guys were shot there, and I know both of them.
Both of them.
You know, so I was like, what's going on?
There's then the connection of, we'll go to Doc shortly, but there's also the connection of politics, where the NPP's General Secretary emphatically says that the NDC is behind the market fires, and it is because they are so desperate to want to become be in power, particularly John Mahama. Abu Ramadan, who's also number 2 at NADMO, whose job it is to ensure that these disasters don't happen in the first place, also takes to social media to say that you want to be president, but you are burning the markets. Now, shouldn't the police be inviting people who have some modicum of information regarding how things are getting burned, why they are getting burned, to at least support them with investigation? Shouldn't the police be doing that?
See, the freedom of speech is allowing us to a very large extent to be so irresponsible. I mean, on a daily basis, you wake up in the morning and the sort of allegations you hear. I remember one time I was invited for a program with a politician. In the end, I told the producer, please, I wish you don't put me on the same panel with this person again. Right. The allegations he was making points to the fact that one of the presidential candidates had swallowed a lot of frogs, and Ghana is being punished by God because of the voodoo activities. And the host was quiet and listened to him spew all sorts of allegations. So, I mean, it is becoming irresponsible. It is posing an existential security threat to the country, because for a number 2, not more official, to come out with such allegations without providing evidence is something I find really irresponsible. But I think it is high time. Unfortunately, you know, to some extent, the police is so politicized. You know, I'm wondering what is stopping them from somehow reaching out to these politicians in perhaps a friendly manner and asking for information. You know, it is not helping, I must say.
Anyway, Doc, let me start get back to you on the conversation. Now, post-election activities, I'm sure you've also heard, seen, and read about the protests, the demonstrations that are going on, burning of car tires, the issues being raised by the NDC that some of the members have been killed. The Peace Council has recently written and says, go to court. IDEC says, go to court. Mr. Mahama, you are denting your international reputation and all of that. Should the NDC be heading to court right now, or should they continue a bit with the protestations that are ongoing?
Right. Thank you, Johnny. I think this is not surprising at all. It has ever happened before in this country, but just that it's taken another dimension. We all experienced this fury during 2012, when the current sitting government felt a little bit dissatisfied about the declaration during 2012. But what happened? There were also a series of demonstrations protesting your displeasure about an outcome. It's normal, but just that it should be legal. Okay, just as my colleague just said, it should be within the framework of our legislation, as well as the security framework. However, the dimension it has taken in 2020 has already some existing dynamics, which, if it's not curtailed within the shortest possible time, we may not be able to control it. Why am I saying this? In 2012, we all saw and experienced what disgruntled party faithfuls of the NPP demonstrated throughout, but it took a very I will use the word a very responsible leaders to come out by telling their followers that, look, enough is enough. We are going to use the legal system, okay, to address the issue. And I quite remember the late Jake Obechebi-Lamte when he addressed a very disgruntled followers at what you call a circle in 2012, when he told them that, look, we feel cheated, but we are going to court. I'm pleading with all of you to go back home and then follow us with your prayers. I quite remember these words from
right.
Jake. Now, what is happening now? It's unfortunate. I mean, this year we've had one of the best elections in this country. The pre-voting preparations, even during voting, we also saw how smooth the processes were, and then the fact that there were some very good security collaborations with civilians as well as the EC. However, the whole issue turned into something else when the declaration started. And I don't begrudge anyone. You need to use all measures to address the grievances. We are getting to a stage now where we have political leaders continuously breaking the law, asking people to go on the streets. We know their faces. We know them. It is time. In fact, I'm not a security expert, but it is time some of these people are called, okay, to be questioned by the security experts in this country. That look, there are calls from very reasonable Ghanaians, from state institutions, the Peace Council, the Christian Council. We've all been calling on the NDC party. Yes, indeed, if you have a case, elections have been declared. If you have a genuine case and you think you are still disgruntled, just go to the court and seek redress. It tells you that, see, the court, we need to have some trust in the court. Just some few days ago, I think as in the West, an issue was sent to the court.
Right.
The court said, go back and resolve it. It was resolved.
Doc, that's the exact point that the NDC is raising. For example, they say the Electoral Commission made a declaration for the presidential elections, altered the results that they put out there, obviously claiming that the denominator in what they used in the calculation for that percentage, and you are a maths guru as well, the denominator was wrong. So they altered the results. And then they subsequently altered it again and then again. Now, the NDC's argument is that, which of the results am I taking to court? Is it the one that was announced the very first time, the one that was altered subsequently through a press release, or the ones that have been changing like traffic lights on the website? Which one am I taking to court, such that if I get to court, the court won't ask me to also go back there and go back to the Electoral Commission? So they are hoping that the Electoral Commission will first of all put its house in order, correct the figures, give them what figures that according to them is sacrosanct. Then they can proceed to court. A fair case?
You see, when it comes to issues of result, I'm not holding breath for this EC. In the first case, and in the first instance, I think arithmetically, there are several discrepancies that even some without the expected explanations. Okay, in the first two instances, I think it was clear. And when they used some figures, to represent some other figures. But subsequently, it's been noticed that a number of times there were some changes on their website. It comes back to the point that, look, you just have to take stock of all these discrepancies. Go to the right place. Are you okay? To pursue the very settlement you want. It's not going to be on the streets. Do you think you are going to get the EC to change the results for you? When in actual fact they have declared and gazetted them? And please, some of us have followed electoral processes for some time now. It's unfortunate though. I'm not holding breath for them, because the EC is central to the sustainability of our democracy in this country. We've come a long way during this Fourth Republic. So the slightest mistake could probably not augur well for the entire country.
What do you say, Doc? What do you say, Doc, for example, to the NDCs, again, another argument that they call superior, raising that after the elections, they have 21 days within which, if they want to go to court, they can go to court. Within that 21 days, the electoral processes are still ongoing. according to them. Now, they say within these 21 days, they were hoping that the EC would hear them out, given the fact that the EC itself had put together the wrong numerator, the wrong denominator to calculate the percentage. The figures are changed, some of the values are changed, and if you put all the values together, it went beyond 100%. They were hoping that the EC would use the internal mechanism to rectify it, listen to them at least, before they went ahead to gazette. Gazetting it for them means bad faith. You agree?
I have done a little bit of computation in some of the figures. And there was a discrepancy. However, it was later on addressed. I don't have my file here. I would have churned out some figures for you. And I'm very particular with figures, because when you churn out figures and they are not accurate, as a quantitative person, I wouldn't want to take that chance.
Right.
But you see, the EC has gazetted it. That is even a strong case for you as a political party. That yes, indeed, from this time to this time, there were these discrepancies. If all these are corrected, just as NDC party has always, the assertion they've always advanced that look, correct the figures before we take a decision. Okay.
Right.
And the EC, with the second change, I also confirmed that there was a discrepancy, but they were subsequently addressed.
Okay.
Now, the NDC party continues to hold on to that discrepancy. I think if you are following the conversation very well, the thing is now heading towards the Techiman Sat issue.
Okay.
I've been following for some time now, where the EC had now gazetted the parliamentary results, and then the PC, the PC, the NDC PC also came out with their independent results from pink sheets. Now, sometimes as an organization, if you want praise to prevail, you may have the right not to probably give people audience. But I think it is time that EC, what Ghanaians want now is the peace the peace we want to enjoy. To have some good time with our family. The year 2020 has not been the expected year that we wanted.
Right. We
had so much expectation for 2020, but the year was bedeviled with the COVID-19 pandemic. After that, we thought things were a little bit going to resolve. Election election related issues has also brought up its negative issues. The EC at this point in time, everybody's calling on NDC to go to court, but I think the EC would do Ghanaians good by just engaging this disgruntled individuals in the party.
Okay.
The PC came out with an evidence. He came with some pink sheet evidence, and I think it is time the EC also comes out to either deny that allegation by the PC or call them and have some amicable solution to the issue.
Let me cut you here. I'll bring Adib in shortly, but then ask you if you have been satisfied with the posture of the National Peace Council, IDEG, and all the other institutions that were put together in a room. Mind you, they signed a peace pact, a 22-point peace pact first, before they signed this recent one on the 4th of December with the two main candidates and other presidential candidates with His Royal Majesty and all of that. Have you been satisfied with the posture of the Peace Council now, who's asking the NDC to go to court and stop the violence? Because this matter has protracted at least from the 9th of 9th of December. The Peace Council seems to have been quiet until recently. Have you been satisfied with their posture?
Yeah, satisfaction is based on a number of factors. When it comes to peace-related issues, you expect that the facts should come out, and then we must also try as much as possible to understand the point of political activists as well as the stakeholders. Johnny, you see, in recent time, what we need to know is that political activities has transitioned beyond fanaticism. We are talking about economic empowerment, not by the governors of the country, but we are talking about how it has trickled down to the grassroots. So people have high expectations. So some of these issues could cause serious implications for the country. Now, when you talk about whether I'm satisfied with Peace Council, I think I share the same sentiment Peace Council shares. If you are disgruntled, you cannot get your case addressed on the streets. On the street. Now you have several avenues. The media, I don't need to go to the street to know what we are talking about. The days where you think protests will probably exacerbate your issue. The media is so powerful that when you put your issues across, you educate people. And people have listened to you. We have listened to the NDC party. We have listened to their leader, former President John Mahama. And we still will hear the same issues they have raised several days ago. And we are all telling the right place to resolve the issue is to go to court.
Well, is it as simple as that when the silence of the Peace Council, according to the NDC, is very much pronounced? When they started talking about not putting together a register, they started talking about having a frosty relationship with the Electoral Commission. They spoke about many other things. They spoke about brutalities during the registration exercise. They're talking now about 6 people who have been killed. The Peace Council, throughout all of those instances, step by step, up until even voting day and counting of the ballot, the declaration of the wrong results, and the subsequent one, has been silent. Suddenly comes up to say, go to court. And they say that cannot be. What do you say?
See, if we are taking a retrospection of what happened before election registration, we are in this country when some group of people were of the view that the EC should not conduct a new registration exercise. And they said, as a commission, we've identified flaws with the existing register. So we were going to, do a new register. Now, you should expect that there will be some challenges, some criticisms and all that. But for me, I commend the EC for taking the trouble to go through all these issues. Now, what goes behind the scene? You see, Peace Council is not a political activist. Myself and you may not know some of their procedures. Maybe it is time they start communicating, giving us some apt information as to what they have done. If you sit on the throne of a peacemaker, it's not everything that you bring out. They may not come out to tell you the every step they take, but I know behind the scene, they call people, they call those who are involved, and they've come out several times. Look, it's not everything that we come out. We resolve issues even without your knowledge.
Okay.
And if you have observed Peace Council, it is not just during this time. Even the era of NDC, when the NPPs were in opposition, it is not everything they come out. They only come out when issues probably are escalating. But I know the very work they do a lot behind the scene.
Okay.
So Johnny, so you see, we've gotten to a stage where the utterances and the activities of the followers of NDC it has a tendency of hurting this economy. And everybody is telling you to go to court. A result has been gazetted. I don't think that during 2012, if NPP had resolved all the issues with EC, they would have gone to court. Or Johnny, don't you agree with me?
Right.
But once you think that you are disgruntled, and first and foremost, I've made
quickly wrap up so I can bring a deep in.
I've made this statement over and over again. The only president under the Fourth Republic who had benefited from the decision and verdict of the Supreme Court in any electoral verdict is President Mahama.
Fact.
So if there's anyone who has confidence in the system, it should be him. By now, we expect President Mahama should have gone to court based on what he experienced about around 2012. So you see, it is not surprising that we are.
But they say they have 21 days within which to go to court. So
21 days, and you talk to your people. Your people are causing so much mayhem in the country. Look, Ghanaians are a little bit irritated.
Right.
Okay, if you look at the whole thing, why is it that, I mean, I don't think Peace Council is a wing of the government. I don't think IDEC is a wing of the government. IDEC has always been in the middle, okay, speaking about issues. Where we are at a stalemate. What you can do now is to go to court.
Okay, Doc, thank you. Adib, let me also ask you the same question. What's your view of the posture of the Peace Council? Because in all of this, we turn to the Peace Council and other eminent persons. Mind you that there's a Peace Council that put together the parties in a room to sign that 22-point peace pact. The NDC refused to sign it earlier until they said that some others had to commit to it before they came to commit. Now, post-election, they say the Peace Council has been too quiet. On the back of that, we've seen IDEC also make statements and other institutions go to court, go to court, go to court. It seems to have been the popular phrase around this time. What's your verdict on the posture of the Peace Council?
Well, as Dr. rightly said, perhaps they might be engaged in certain activities behind closed doors that you and I might not be privy to. But one thing is clear. The end definitely justifies the means.
Right.
And now we see the end. So what does it tell us? Definitely there were some inefficiencies with the means. And my posture about the Peace Council hasn't changed. No malice intended, because I have a lot of friends within the Peace Council. I've been to several events with them. I think it has become more or less like a statement issuing entity. Really? Yes, because if you look at the core mandate of the Peace Council, they are supposed to engage in preventative diplomacy.
Right.
And are you aware they are supposed to have peace monitors all around the country?
That's right.
To what extent are they able to, gather the early warning signals? To what extent have they been trained? How widespread are they? To what extent have they contributed towards preventing some of these things, from even happening in the first place? So I think they have a lot more job to do, because currently, as it is, I don't think they've done enough, even though perhaps behind closed doors, like I said, a lot has been done. But I think going forward, they really need to do more.
In a situation where everybody is publicly telling the NDC, go to court, stop the violence, stop the protest, go to court, is it the best to be behind the scenes as opposed to being at the forefront? We had the Peace Council in 2012. We had the Peace Council in 2016. Why are we not hearing much of the Peace Council in 2020? Exactly. And again, the NDC has chronicled many instances, including the Banda registration issues, including even how the Electoral Commission disenfranchised people of Lolobi, Apafu, in so many other instances that the Peace Council has been quiet about. Should they be doing that covertly instead of doing that overtly, like they're doing with telling the ADC now to go to court?
Well, I think it's a mixture of the two. Covertly, you can do a lot of back channel diplomacy. Possibly you can get certain eminent people in society involved. I was expecting before the announcement of the results we would have respectable people like the Ashanti Hene and of course the chief imam calling and perhaps summoning the two candidates and letting them understand that this is just a democratic process. Whichever way it goes, we have to accept. Even if we don't accept it, whatever we say shouldn't stoke violence, because a lot of the rhetoric, I must say, is not helping. In sociology, we have what we call groupthink. Politicians are like celebrities. Right. They are like religious men who garner following. So whatever they say has a direct correlation or implication on the thought processes, opinions, and perceptions of their followers. Okay, and if we have them come out to say things that look insightful in nature, what we would expect is their supporters rising up to the occasion, and things might get violent. However, like I said, the Peace Council has a lot of work. I think it shouldn't
a lot
just
of
be
work,
behind.
including being silent about six
No,
people
of course not.
who
I
have
mean,
died.
Of course not. These are not just
Does
numbers.
that make them look serious, like a Peace Council?
If you Google my name and Peace Council, you would see
I know
my opinions about the Peace Council.
But I'm asking, in this particular instance, the Peace Council leaves 6 people who have died, according to the NDC. Leaves persons who were prevented from registering, according to the NDC. Leaves people who have been disenfranchised in Lolobi Akpafu, according to the NDC, and per the EC's own words. And so many other junctures. And come straight to say, go to court. Now, they're saying people have died. There cannot be peace without justice. Get justice for the people who have been killed. Then we can talk about peace.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you see, I do sometimes also understand the Peace Council because they will try as much as they can to avoid being part of the political game. Okay, for instance, the issue of Lolobi, people disenfranchised, is what can best be described currently as an allegation. Right. Okay. However, I don't think the people
of the Electoral Commission itself. The Electoral Commission admitted that they cannot be part of the presidential election, but they can do the parliamentary election. The NDC argues that, look, we could have gotten votes from there as well. So,
and that is worrying. I mean, apart from that, we also have 6 people dying,
right?
You know, as a result. And these are not just numbers. These are human beings, people with families, okay? People who are breadwinners. So I expect that at least the Peace Council would also give, to some extent, credence to some of these things, then in the end call for, you know, a peaceful settlement to what is going on.
Right.
But immediately, you know, coming out to say go to court means you are not really listening to the other side.
Right.
All you care about is the other side, and it doesn't help because the Peace Council in the end would not be seen as a fair arbiter, which I must say would negate its core mandate.
Okay, Doc, let's wrap up the conversation. So where do we go from here? The issues have been said. Go to court has become the most popular phrase. But the NDC insists that, look, what are we taking to court? If we are not satisfied with the preliminary results that have been declared, which one are we taking to court? Knowing full well that the Supreme Court had published a manual that says we won't go beyond 42 days of adjudicating a matter that is brought to us regarding the election. What do you say to the NDC, the Peace Council, the NPP, and all the key political actors?
All right, thank you, Johnny.
And just to say, mind you, the Electoral Commission also put together a committee of 21 eminent persons to advise it. They have been silent as well.
Thank you. Okay, just to address the first, your last statement, they've been silent. I'm very, very circumspect when it comes to some of these, you know, description. I've been in some positions before, and there are some duties when given you. You need to work behind the scene. It's always the case. I mean, but the problem is information to the people, the populace. That's very, very vital. We need to know what you are doing. And that is where they probably gotten it wrong. Now, let's come back to our democracy, a very young democracy. So we look up to those who have been in this practice for several years. I don't think Ghanaians just woke up one day and started telling the NDC to go to court. We know what happened in the US. A sitting president, Donald Trump, felt disgruntled. He did not believe in the electoral system. What did he do? He went to court. Judges that he appointed, some of them turned down some of the accusations sent to court on his behalf. And you see, slowly, if all voices are telling you that go to the right place to settle your disputes, then as a party, I think it's time they listen to all stakeholders. Nobody hates NDC. Who tells you that some of the people telling them to go to court are even sympathizers of NDC? Okay, we don't like violence. We don't love violence. Yes, indeed, there cannot be peace without that justice, the fairness expected from the system. That is very true. Now, so do you have to resort to violence? That's the question one may ask. It's unfortunate that we have death recorded after voting, which was seamless. I mean, we were so happy with the system for the first time. But you see, as a country, we don't need to leave everything, unattended to. Let's look at the first instance. Whenever there's this violence and people lose their lives, what are we supposed to do? Yes, indeed, we expected some statement from the Peace Council and also the government as well, because you see, we still have a sitting president to have made a statement about the whole thing, but we've not heard anything yet. Now, if you ask me the way forward, then I think there should be a commission of inquiry into the death of all these people to know the truth. Yes, indeed. Sometimes you obviously will know that something triggered it. We need to know all these things. So there must be an immediate commission to go so that people will know that yes, indeed, what happened.
Do we need a commission when we have a police? A crime is a crime. It doesn't matter who commits the crime.
But you see, who is accusing who here?
Well, so that's a key question.
The police is, to a large extent, a culprit in this issue. So we need an independent commission to investigate the activities of the police, as well as individuals, party followers, party supporters, to come out with some independent findings. Apart from that, but you see, there's something worrying. I think you didn't
wrap up on that for me.
Yes, we didn't discuss that. You mentioned it in a passing. If you have a political activist accusing people, I think by now, Abu Ramadan? Abu Ramadan should have been invited by the CID by now.
And John Boydu also wrote a statement.
You cannot make such loose statements at this critical point in time. Look, the system is not sensitive. And you see, we all know what happened in other countries. When some crimes purported to have been committed by some rebels were not indeed committed by them, but because they were labeled, they accepted. It is not the time for you to make such accusations. So I expected the police to have invited Abu Ramadan for questioning. If he has any information, he should provide the police, but not to go to the media and make it look like the NDC. The NDC is the one that is causing all this mayhem. What information do you have?
Well, so Dr. Bauto, now the NPP went into this election with the NDC. The AC declared the NPP winners over the NDC with what they themselves have come to correct as wrong figures. Now, the NPP's chief scribe, John Boydu, has organized a press conference, put out a press release suggesting that the market fires are being orchestrated by the NDC even before investigations are concluded. Shouldn't the police be calling him to help with investigations as well too?
I think the right thing for the police to have done was to have invited the General Secretary of NPP. After that press conference, we all need information. Today, look, just as you mentioned, we all allude to the fact that if you think you have information, provide it and let the police investigate. But making such loose statements without any evidence, I don't think Ghanaians need such statements now. So all people should be invited by the CID to help the CID with any information that they have, so that people could be picked on. Look, it could even be true that there are probably some activities, disgruntled activities within a certain political circle doing that. So if you have any information, provide the police with that. But you don't only accuse and make it look like, because they are disgruntled, they are trying to cause mayhem. Please, this is not a time for you to.
If you and I made that comment, I'm sure the police would have invited us a long time ago.
My brother, you know we've come a long way. Myself,
I know from Nooks, yeah.
Yes, the days the average student activist is picked even during Congress.
Right.
When some of us have been picked severally for making statements. So we expected that this is a time for the police should have also been picking people up.
Okay.
I can't remember one of the congresses I was picked up.
Don't lift all our past here. It's okay. Leave it. Nooks is not what it used to be when we were there, unfortunately. But just to provide information that Trump supporters are still demonstrating out there. Let me wrap up with you, Adib, on this particular one. Where do we go from here? The statements have been made. Now, the most popular phrase, even if you ask the watch seller to give you a softer willy and it's too hard, it says go to court. Exactly. Now it's become the most popular phrase. But is it as easy as that? And also bearing in mind that NDC protesters could be out there, but they could be mixed by people who just want to foment trouble.
Exactly.
You are a security person. Sometimes you have all manner of people join just to foment trouble. Now, the posture as of now, Abu Ramadan, John Boydu, and other key persons who are already pointing to the fact that blame everything that's happening on the NDC. Police is silent about it. Peace Council seems quiet about it. Where do we go from here?
Well, Johnny, I think we are sounding too simplistic about, the police inviting this person, that person for certain pronouncements. But I mean, it's quite clear. This is no secret that, to a very large extent, politicians don't fear the police, and to some extent also they don't seem to respect the police. So they can flagrantly, in total disregard for law and order, carry out their allegations here and there without anybody doing anything about that. I mean, we're in this country. When Hawa Kumsen fired and said on radio that yes, indeed, she fired, we spoke about it over and over again, and it looked like the police commander there was scared to make that call. Then later we were told, oh, she's been invited.
It's not been transferred.
Is going to be carried out. To date, nobody knows what happened to that investigation because prior to the election, I saw Peace Council at it again, issuing statements calling for the police to make available the findings. But I mean, nobody really seemed to have given any credence to it. But going forward, I think there's the need for diplomacy behind the scenes. We would have to get notable persons involved. We would even have to perhaps get the diplomatic community involved as well. But we don't have to deal with it superficially. Breaking protests doesn't end it there. It has to go beyond.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Kweku Mensah Mauto is the Dean of the Graduate School of the University of Professional Studies in Accra. He joined us via Zoom. And also, Adib Sani is the man to speak with at Jati K. And if you're looking for security assistance, that's where to turn your attention to. You're looking for your CCTVs and everything. Adib Sani will get you covered nice and smooth. Thanks to Sonar Fashions in Tamale for my outfit. But let's say happy birthday to Mrs. Nana Ama Dankwa Smith of the Judicial Service, the Law Court Complex. You are the acting administrator of the Commercial Court. It's your birthday today, sweet cousin. We love you, and you live long and prosper in good health. But as we go, make sure you're maintaining peace and make sure that you're not getting on the wrong side of the law. And watch your tongue. Your tongue could get you in trouble. Stay safe. Let's enjoy the Christmas together. We'll see you after the break.